Events are a marketer's best friend, and even in the metaverse, this is a huge way for businesses to get in with their markets and start growing. So if you want to build your market through metaverses, event marketing is definitely for you. And I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like today through a clear 4-part system. My name is Trent Kennelly. I'm a metaverse marketing strategist, and this is the best channel for you to learn about the metaverse, NFTs, and marketing. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment to let me know what event you're thinking about and one that you've loved in the past that really kind of spoke to you. I would love to know and help you along the way, and let's get started. So we all know what an event is, but let's understand quickly why and how an event works for marketing purposes. So events draw people in for special prizes and activities, which, especially for brands that are well known, grab attention and excitement, which leads to word of mouth, which leads to more brand recognition, etc. And this is true both in and outside metaverse spaces. So the end result of your event is that the event visitor gets something valuable and they put your brand top of mind. So that's the exchange. They get something valuable, they think of you next time they want to buy something. For example, let's just think about a car show in the physical world. So how many cars are actually sold to consumers at car shows? I'm going to venture to say none, not at all, okay? But people go to the shows and they look at the new models, the concept cars, etc. They take pictures, they share their experiences on social media, and when it's time for these consumers to go buy a car in the real world after the show, something that Ford or BMW or Tesla displayed at their show might send that buyer toward a brand that they might not have otherwise considered. So the event visitor gets to experience new cars in that non-sales, no-pressure environment, and the car company gets to boost their cachet in that person's mind. So how do you do that in the metaverse? 4 parts. Part 1, the goal. So it's important to frame this from the perspective of the goal of the event rather than the type of event, because there are literally thousands of event types, launches, and sports and industry conventions. It's hard to pin down the type of event if you don't have the goal first. But if you consider that goal, it becomes a lot more easy and possible to shape the type of event around it, okay? So we should look at the goal from 2 different perspectives. What do you want the attendee to get out of it? And what do you want to gain from putting the event on? So as far as what you want to gain, this is pretty straightforward. You want to do one of 2 things. You want to sell something, or you want to improve your brand awareness overall. And if both are possible, why not, right? Okay? So in each situation, it's important to shape that narrative appropriately to make it clear what people should be expecting with your event. So a launch event, you're probably going to be selling something, even if that's just pre-orders or something. A free wearables giveaway, you're likely going to be working on brand awareness so that the next thing you sell, they're going to come to you for, etc. Now, as far as what the attendee should gain at a bare minimum, they need to be interested in what the event is and what's going on there, okay? But really, more than that, you want them to engage with the content and walk away with, at a bare minimum, a positive outlook on your brand. Of course, again, if it's a launch event or something similar, you also want them to walk away having purchased something from you, even if that's a pre-order. But the point of core importance here is that they feel like they got something out of your event. If people come to an event and just watch a launch that they could have seen just by watching it on TV, you're probably not going to keep them around. And people are going to vote with their feet, or index fingers, by leaving if you don't have this goal clearly defined ahead of time and executed on perfectly. Part 2, the venue. So we're talking about metaverse events, which begs the question, which metaverse? This isn't a question that should be taken lightly. And to answer it, I see 2 intervening questions. So the first one is this: how easy is your chosen metaverse to enter into and use? Metaverses like Spatial are pretty easy, and most users can just jump on whenever they want. They have an app, they have a desktop view, they have a VR view. So anyone who wants to can join Spatial and get wherever they need to go pretty easily. However, there are others, like Decentraland, that aren't intuitive for first-time users at all. If you want to get into Decentraland, you have to have a crypto wallet like MetaMask, which makes sense, right? Because this is a decentralized place with decentralized currency, so you need to have a crypto wallet to be able to function in there. But it nevertheless requires users to go to a separate website, set up a crypto wallet, get the plugin, go back to Decentraland, and then finally sign up for Decentraland. That's complicated enough for people that have used computers their entire lives, let alone others that don't know this sort of world really at all. So if your target isn't comfortable with newer tech, you're gonna have a harder time here. And the second question is, how involved in the metaverse is your target before this event? Now, this question is probably one you should answer before the first one, because it could negate the need to worry about the first one at all. Because you're looking at people who are either very experienced or not experienced at all. People who either live on a particular platform or who are dipping their toes in and just trying to understand this stuff, okay? So if you're posting an event for Decentraland natives, you probably don't need to worry about whether they can get in and move about the cabin or not. You only need to worry about where your event is specifically going to be. Whereas if people are just dipping their toes in, you probably want to go with something easier like spatial so that you don't have to have them worry and get scared and then nobody comes to your event because they couldn't figure it out. Then once you've picked your metaverse and you've got that idea, honestly, the specific location of the event isn't super important. I mean, what you want is something that looks cool and that engages users to explore a bit, but it doesn't need to be close to any high traffic areas because all of the promotion for the event needs to be done off platform anyway, except of course for billboard ads, which are always a good idea one way or another. You can check out this video for details on that. Part 3, the program. So it's important to remember that it's easy for people to disengage during digital events. People have so many distractions around them and there is just no awkward hustle to get out of a crowd when you're trying to leave. You don't have to scooch past a bunch of people. You just exit the simulation or you teleport to another place. So it is of utmost importance that you engage people in this event as much as possible. Now, of course, engagement looks very different depending on the event type, right? A concert is in itself more engaging than watching the latest Apple release. I mean, Apple tries, they really do, but sorry, it's not as engaging. That's why I suggest that you go back to some of the most basic tricks to keep engagement high. These have been known to work in many situations, not just events. So first, design for shorter attention spans. Online attention spans are super short. Again, people will just teleport whenever they want and they don't have to look at you anymore. You can offer incentives for sticking around, so giveaways at the end. Get them moving, dance parties, breakout rooms, discussions, etc. Take suggestions from the crowd to see what they want, if there's something else that they want to see changed. And that's why I really suggest that you kind of keep this a little bit light and fluid. You can change things out if you need to, if something isn't working, because it's this constant game of call and response, of cat and mouse, of reading the room to make sure that the attendees are there and remaining interested. Part 4, promotion. So this may be part 4, but it's the thing that you should be thinking about the earliest. You need to make sure that people come, so you have to plan an outreach strategy to get their attention. I definitely believe that you should pay for a few billboards to advertise your event, but that also means that you need to have a page on your website discussing it, since most billboards are links to sites outside of the metaverse. However, I also think you need to have a more general out of metaverse strategy. And yes, social media is part of that. That's kind of the default answer. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube for best results here. But I'm honestly not sure that I'm gonna dive into that right now because there are thousands of videos on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube strategies. And it's kind of a general strategy that you approach for a lot of different things. So I would just kind of search for that if you're looking for social media strategy here. However, I do think it's worth considering press releases here, because a press release is an article that sounds like any other article in a blog post or a magazine that is actually you just promoting your event, okay? So you can draft up a few different articles about the event and start pitching them to relevant blogs and publications that already have the audience that you're trying to get the attention of so that they come to your event, okay? So I'm gonna have a video all about this specifically for metaverse advertorials in the future, but for now you can check out this video on advertorials more generally to kind of get an idea here. So what you're doing is you're trying to leech off of those large traffic numbers to draw that traffic into you so you don't have to put a lot of extra work in. You just pay the money to work off of somebody else's hard work. All right, so now that we've got that 4-part structure, let's quickly talk about how to monetize this thing. So this is kind of a side question, but monetization is always a good thing to think about, whether your event is for brand awareness or direct sales. You don't have to restrict yourself to the event itself. There could be a window for you to make some extra money while you do it, right? Even if it's a brand awareness technique, you can still make some money on the side while you're at it, okay? So let's just look at sporting events for a great example here. You're not just being sold the ticket when you go to a sporting event. What else do they sell at a football game? Jerseys and footballs and ad spaces in the field and food. There are dozens of monetization options, and a lot of them can be replicated here. Maybe not food. Now, again, that depends on the metaverse that you're in. It's gonna be a lot easier if you're in Roblox or Decentraland than it is if you're in Spatial to do this sort of extra stuff, because you can upload things like wearables and billboards into the space and you have a marketplace to kind of work with there, okay? But still, the point here is that you can create these exclusive items that can't be sold anywhere else. You can make them exclusive to this event, okay? And you can get advertisers to put up ads around the event, and all of these activities can add to the earning potential of your event without taking the enjoyment of it away from the users. So there you go. Events are a huge way to find success in the metaverse. I hope that this was helpful to get yours off the ground, to get you kind of thinking about the way that you should structure this and how you should move forward with it, etc. Let me know what kind of event you're thinking about. I would love to know what you've been going towards, how you're going to structure this, what your goal has been, etc. I'm sure we can help get you off the ground even in the comments. Otherwise, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I will catch you in the next one.